Hello everybody, my name is Klug, and Sam from Sam and Max is black. I'm making this video both to force the Sam and Max tag on Tumblr to stop fucking whitewashing him, you racist bastards, as well as to provide some context for a video I'm currently making on Sam's literally everything, wherein I'll be mentioning the fact he's a black man at least once. I want to give a disclaimer first that I am white, and that Steve Purcell is also white. It is entirely possible that the original creator of Sam, Steve Purcell's brother, meant for Sam to have been white if he were human, but there's enough direct evidence that I don't consider that to be the case nowadays. So, let's review said evidence. First, let's talk about Sam's afro. Klug, are you talking about the afro he wears as a teen? The bright orange afro? Sorry to say, but that hair color just isn't realistic, so I'm already refusing to ignore this point. Well, first of all, sadly not Strawman. There's probably at least one mixed race person with a fully natural ginger afro who's living on this earth. And second of all, hair dye existed in the 70s and 80s. For those who aren't aware, in the cartoon, during a flashback, Sam is seen sporting a bright orange afro. This flashback represented the 70s and, more likely, the 80s, a time where, just as ever, whites attempted to co-opt black, and more specifically African American, culture for personal amusement. There's another piece of evidence that supports that, thankfully, this is probably not the case. In an older piece of art, obviously made significantly before the cartoon was even thought of, specifically in 1982 if the signature is to be believed, there's a tiny photo in the background showing a baby picture of Sam, which is really, really cute. But instead of the usual 3 wisps of hair he sported in every other picture of him as a child, or without his hat in general, he seems to be growing an afro. Wowee! Additionally, Bosco mentions and Max confirms and agrees that neither have seen a white man with a natural afro as big as Brady Culture's, which is indeed fake. Considering the fact that the comics are 100% canonically tied to the games, we can say for certain that, even if some of the information presented in the cartoon is unreliable, that Sam most likely had his hair around the same volume, if not larger, than Brady Culture's. And since Max doesn't mention the fact he knows or knew a white man with an afro at all, it's probable that Sam isn't white, even if he isn't black. Moving on to the second piece of evidence, his literal skin color. Dogs, like humans, have skin. Gasp sound effect. I don't really want to go into detail about how exactly dogs and humans gain and lose pigmentation since I'm not a biologist or anything, but I do want to mention that, consistently, Sam has always been depicted as having a black or brown nose and dark brown paw pads. Obviously, dogs don't exactly have race the same way we do, but considering that Sam is an anthropomorphic animal who thinks and acts human and interacts with one of many human societies, treating his existence as an other animal more as something akin to coming from a specific culture or background than an entirely different species, one could realistically say that, in the world of Sam and Max, the tone of your paw pads might mean the same as the skin of your human friend. A lot of complicated things made primarily by illusionary borders and or hateful rhetoric, popularized and forced by people who are so jealous, bigoted, and hateful that the only way they can grapple with their own feelings is to extensively harm others over multiple generations. And that's actually about it. There technically is more evidence to support that Sam may be black, but most of that evidence is more simply him engaging with things generally considered to be, or that are, African American culture, and not actual definitive proof. Black people can come from anywhere. They can do anything and be part of any culture. So I feel like mentioning him engaging with certain parts of certain cultures as definitive proof of him being that culture, or being black, would probably end up becoming kind of stereotyping, or just generally wrong, if that makes any sense. And this series has a massive problem with stereotyping, and a lot of racist shit in it. both of which should be picked apart fully, and definitely shouldn't be ignored just because it was of its time, or whatever horrible excuse people make. However, as most of the research I'm currently doing is into historic incidents and not more recent ones, I don't consider myself at all qualified or prepared to delve into those topics at this time. I hope that you enjoyed watching, and if anything that I said seems incorrect or offensive, please tell me in the comments and I'll edit or delete the video accordingly. Thank you, and goodbye.